So, without further ado, folks, my guest today is Zeenatali Sutar. So, Z and I have been connected for some time on LinkedIn, uh, and and he goes by Z. His full name is Zeenatali, but Z reached out to me. He said, "Hey, Dean, look, this is a very important topic that he wanted to address and speak about. So, he took the initiative to reach out to me. So he's a very friendly, sincere, very professional guy who reached out to me. I did some background research on him myself, just like I do with most of my guests. And a lot of what I found on the internet is a lot of positive reviews about Z. And I wanted to bring him on and speak about the topic of Canadian immigration. And any and all of your questions maybe that you might have, we'll do our best to get around to them. And he's going to give us an overview of how things work over here. So again, if those of you who are overseas, or maybe you're already here, you have questions about certain aspects of the immigration system, feel free to do so. So that Z will do his best to get around to your questions. So without further ado, let me bring out Z shortly, and we'll get this thing started.
Hi.
Z, how's it going? Thanks so much for your time, and
Great.
welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. It's appreciated. And I would like to welcome all the viewers who are out there investing their time for sharing whatever I can. And let's get started. I'm excited.
Awesome, awesome. Sounds good, Z. Now, Z, I know I did a brief introduction, but if you can tell the viewers more about yourself and your maybe some more information about your credentials and your qualifications before we get started.
All right. So myself, Zeenatali Sutar, basically I migrated to Canada as an immigrant in 2011. It's been almost 9 years. And before coming to Canada, I completed my master's in accounting, and I was a professor in various colleges in India for almost 12 years. And then when I came to Canada, it took some time as usual, and I pursued my immigration diploma. And then I completed my licensing exam, and I have been practicing Canadian immigration since then.
Awesome, awesome. Sounds awesome, Z. So Z, I'm gonna get into the question shortly, but I know before we started, if you wanted to, I know you wanted to discuss a disclaimer in
Yeah.
regards to before we begin
Yes.
for the viewers.
Yeah. So just for the audience, whosoever will be watching and is live, I just want to say this is whatever we are going to share is a general information about Canadian immigration. It's an immigration laws which keeps changing from time to time. So I don't want anybody to uh, immediately come to a conclusion, and I would always want you to take professional advice from somebody whom you trust, and then go ahead if you want to hire somebody. So my advice is just focus on the general information, and there will be some links that will be shared which is official from the government. So I would like you to go through the website as well before coming to any kind of conclusion.
Okay, okay, awesome.
Yeah.
Sounds good. Sounds good, Z. And for any future questions, if you want to go over that disclaimer again, feel free to go do that as well again. But
All
I'm
right.
gonna get right into the question, Z. So Z, first of all, I mean, can you explain to myself and the viewers, like, how does the process for permanent residency and also for the PNP, and the PNP being the provincial nominee program, like, how does that work? And if someone is a skilled worker outside of Canada?
So basically, permanent residence is an option for somebody who is either skilled in some kind of professional field, or somebody who's skilled trade worker, or somebody who is in Canada has some kind of experience for at least 1 year. So basically, permanent residency is an option where people can apply if they are eligible. So there are criterias laid out by the Canadian government, which everybody has to follow. So the permanent residency basically is divided into three parts. It's federal skilled worker category. It's called Canadian experience class category, and the federal skilled trade program. So most of the people who are overseas outside Canada would be focusing on federal skilled worker category. So I'm going to brief little bit about how federal skilled worker category works, and that's what I came as a federal skilled worker in Canada. So anybody who is trying to migrate to Canada, I would say first you need to understand that there are two stages of the scores or the calculation you need to do. One is the factor based analysis, where you need to score 67 out of 100. So if you qualify, if you get 67 or more, then you are eligible to apply. Now, what are the factors that you need to consider? So, factors like language, factors like education, work experience, age is one of the important factor. If you can get an arranged employment from the employer in Canada, you get extra points for that. And adaptability, if your spouse is educated, if your spouse has a language ability, if you have studied in Canada, if you have work experience in Canada, so this entire thing contributes under adaptability. So that's how you can get maximum 100, but the qualifier is 67. So let's say if I'm in India, sitting in Mumbai, working for 5 years with a master's degree, and I want to apply or look at my eligibility. So first, I will do this analysis whether I'm able to get 67 out of 100.
Mhm.
Once I do that, then I'm allowed to get into the express entry pool. Now, what is Express Entry Pool? So, it is a system where Canadian immigration uh, is working on the way to give the process the applications basically. So, it is a system. It is not a program. It is a system in itself to facilitate the program of Federal Skilled Worker category or PR process. So when we come to the CRS score, CRS is a comprehensive ranking system adopted by Canadian government where anybody can get maximum up to 1200 points. Now that 1200 points are further divided into two parts. One is the core competence and the other is other adaptability scores,
Mhm.
additional points. So the core competency can get you 600 points and the other score can get you 600 points. So that's how you need to get 1200 points. So far I want to stress one very important thing, that if you are an aspirant to apply for Canada, there are two major things that you need to do before you think of applying or before you actually approach any consultant out there or anywhere in the world. Number one is get your academic credentials done. Get your
Mhm.
credentials done before you start. Secondly, you have to give your language ability test, which we call it as IELTS test.
Right.
So anybody who wants to come to Canada as a permanent resident, they are supposed to give IELTS general module, not academic. So there are two modules in IELTS. One is academic for students who wants to come to Canada on a student permit, study permit, and the other one is called as general, which is for migrants or immigrants.
Right.
So people should target IELTS general module. Once you have done this two, that is the academic evaluation and the other is the IELTS, then only you should go out there to the consultants or yourself if you want to do it on your own. Research the website how to apply for Canadian immigration under express entry and then actually enter into the pool and calculate that 67 points before entering into the pool. I hope I'm not confusing and things are a little bit clear. If you want to change my pace, you can always advise Dean.
No, no, that's fine. That's fine. And yeah, folks, if you
Uh,
have any need, if you have any clarifying questions for the viewers, feel free to put in the comments. Now, quick question before you move further on that, Z. You mentioned the educational qualifications credentials.
yeah.
So when you say that, do you mean like you had to get that verified, or what exactly?
Yes. So, so let's say I did my masters in India, right? So there are
Right,
various
right.
ways of doing masters from any country. Number one. Secondly, there has been an education body who regulates the education system in any country. So
Hmm.
in order to make sure that the degree or the qualification you have gained in your home country, there are there are agencies in Canada who have been appointed or given the authority to assess, evaluate your degrees, credentials. So one of the popular agencies, World Education Service. So folk, you can reach out them. There's a website for World Education Service organization. Make sure you check immigration category under the website. So that's one of the agency. There are other four agencies as well. So you can always go through any of the agencies, but quite popular so far has been the World Education Services. So how to apply, what are the requirement documents, everything is elaborated in the World Education Services website.
Okay, excellent, excellent. So, so
Yeah,
Z, you said that's the first number one thing, and the other one you said is getting the
language.
how do you
I
say it again? I.
IELTS, it's an international
IELTS.
English language testing system. So basically, the minimum benchmark you're looking at is CLB 7, Canadian Language Benchmark of 7, which in terms of IELTS is 6. So somebody
Hmm.
who is able to get a minimum score of 6 will be eligible to apply for PR, provided the other factors are also met. Now, mind you, if you get CLB 7, doesn't mean you will be selected, because there will be people who have got 7.5, 7.5,
Hmm.
8. So you as an applicant should always try your best to get the maximum in your first attempt. And this has been one of the challenges I see with people working, because they have family, they have work, they are busy in their routine, and right now from last 3.5 months, IELTS exams are not being conducted. So there's a lot of frustration, and it is very difficult for them to focus on the exam. At the end of the day is an exam, no matter it is English that we always talk, we live with English day and night. But when it comes to exam, don't give that exam with a very lenient or easy approach. Focus it and get the best score in the first attempt. That's my advice.
Okay, gotcha, gotcha. And in terms of this, the getting this second part done, Z, like, is there specific testing centers that officially do this, or
So there are
um,
two world recognized centers. One is IDP Australia, and the other one is the uh, British Council in UK. Now there are other exams as well called as CELPIP, which is a Canadian origin exam, but the centers for CELPIP are very limited and very few, especially in India. And you can always check the centers out on the website of CELPIP.
okay, gotcha, gotcha.
Yeah.
And a quick question from the viewers regarding this, Z. So we had Swaminathan says, "Hi, if the master's degree has been obtained from either Australia or New Zealand, is it still required to get the bachelor's assessed, which is from India?"
Oh, that's a good question, because when you apply, I would first recommend you, the first homework that you as an applicant should do is go to the website, the World Education Services website, because the the rules, the criteria keeps changing. I want you to get the up to date knowledge, but what I understand is whatever credentials you have gained so far in your life, everything has to be assessed. So if I was the applicant, what I would have done is I would have sent everything that I have gained so far: a degree from India, a degree from Australia, a degree from New Zealand, even a degree from USA, for example. And
Hmm.
then I would have sent everything in one package. Let the agency decide what is qualifying, what is non-qualifying, rather than we as an applicant deciding what is qualifying for us. And that's what we are paying them for, right? So why don't
Right.
we let them make the decision rather than we deciding what to skip and what not to skip?
Okay, understood, understood. So hope that helps, Swaminathan. Great question, and thank you, Z. So Z,
Yeah.
moving on, like, can you explain the avenues for work permit for people outside of Canada?
Wonderful question, and you know what? It has been one of the hot topic. I would say people want to just come to Canada and start making money.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, just as a caution, when you have an approach where you want to have a work permit for Canada, it's nothing wrong in it. But the point is, getting a work permit in Canada, or for that matter any country, is never going to be easy, because I when I was in India and I did my bachelor's masters, getting a job in India was difficult. So
Wow.
how can
Right.
I expect that a culturally different country, a work culture is different in other country, how do I get a work permit? Now, coming back to your question, that is it possible, the answer is yes, it is possible, but it is not easy at all. So i'll
Hmm.
i'll brief you how it works. So Canadian government is trying to protect the Canadians and the permanent resident in Canada, so that everybody has an equal opportunity and they are given the priority to work. And if an employer doesn't get an employee in Canada, then they are supposed to look outside Canada as an avenue, right? And
Yeah.
also, in some cases, Canada needs some kind of workers, for example, IT guys, for example, nursing, for example, farm workers. So there have been some rules laid around the work permit where they have been given a liberty to the employer to hire somebody. For
Hmm.
example, they have started a global talent stream. right? It is basically
Right.
focusing the IT guys, people with IT experience. So that's the avenue where the work permit, if the employer does it properly in a nice manner in the way it is required, it is processed within 10-15 days. It's
Oh wow.
unbelievable, and that's one of the best way to get through to Canada. But the caution that I want to make every viewer understand is that there are two stages to the work permit when you are outside Canada. One is called as Labor Market Impact Assessment. That's called LMIA. The traditional name of LMIA was LMO, Labor Market Opinion, which was changed. And so the way it works is, let's say I'm the employer in Canada and I need somebody to work for my company, and I'm looking around. So basically, my first approach should be to look within Canada, people who are Canadians, who are permanent resident, and who, of course, will also have people who have work permit in Canada. So that should be my first focus. And
Right.
after putting the efforts, if I can't get through, then I am supposed to apply LMIA. Now,
Right.
LMIA is a process that is taken care by ESDC, that's Service Canada, right? And try to
Right.
understand, the viewer should understand that the process of LMI has to be done by the employer, not by you. That is number one.
Mhm.
So the employer should be willing to offer you a job, and if you agree to the contract or terms and condition, that job is not valid until you get your LMI processed, and it has to be positive. So let's say you got the employer who is interested in your profile and they want to hire you, and they are willing to apply for the LMIA, right? So the employer takes the initiative to apply the process of LMIA, and he has to wait for the outcome of the LMIA. It can be positive, it can be negative. The government might come back, the ESDC Service Canada might come back saying that no, you have not done your research properly. There are many people in Canada, or there are other factors as well, and therefore he is not qualified as an employer. In that case, the work permit will not actualize. So that is a negative response. Let's say the employer got a positive LMI,
Mhm.
then the employee in India or anywhere in the world is supposed to apply for work permit on the basis of that LMI that he has received, which is given by the employer through
Gotcha.
ESDC, that is Service Canada. So this is the entire process. I
Gotcha.
hope
Okay.
it is
Okay.
I hope it is very clear, and people are able to understand, right?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's
Okay, good.
so feel free to let us know in the comments, folks, if you need further clarification on that. But
Yeah,
thanks for sharing that, Z. And again, just a reminder to everyone watching, what Z is providing is general, advice. So
absolutely.
you need to, all of you as viewers, you have to do your due diligence and your own independent research. This is not like actual legal advice, right? And we'll get around to how you can maybe connect with Z if you have any further questions in the
and
future.
and to add to your comments, Dean, it's not only about the legal laws and other things, but every profile is different. I
Yeah, yeah.
like right now what we are talking is general, which may be applicable to Mr. A, but it might not be applicable to Mr. B. So as a
Right.
viewer, it is my responsibility to make sure that am I eligible, do I qualify, and that kind of research has to be done. No matter you do it on your own as a candidate, well, you can do that. You are welcome to do that. But if you are stuck somewhere, if you are confused, that's where the consultant or the professional comes into picture to reduce your confusion and come out with the options which is best for you.
Okay, fantastic, fantastic. And
Yeah,
and for the viewers, I do see we have some questions, so appreciate the questions, folks. I will be getting around to the questions shortly, but I want to make sure we cover the core aspects of this. So I'm going to keep pushing forward. So Z, I mean, in terms of again sticking to the topic of the work permit, right now, there are certain horror stories and these scams going on, right? So
yes.
how are those scams working, and like how can the viewers make sure they're not victim to these scams?
So this is a very, very crucial question that you have raised, and I really want to address it, giving more time to it. See, as a
Yeah.
candidate, I sit in my home country and I think of coming to Canada, and somebody approaches. nowadays the technology is such that if you think about work permit, your phone will start talking about work permit. Facebook will start
Mm.
showing you the ad of work permit, and somebody
Yeah, yeah,
approaches you on your email that Canada has hundreds of jobs, giving you a salary of 5,000 a month, 2 weeks vacation. If something is like that, which is too good to be true, you are well educated, you should be aware about it, that if that is so easy, why would Canada have unemployment, right?
yeah, yeah.
And why would somebody not get a job? Because even in Canada it is very difficult to get a stable job. You being an IT recruiter, you might have experienced many people struggling in the initial phases. So coming
Absolutely.
back to the scam story, what happens is, if you are desperate, if you are very keen and you approach to somebody with that desperation, that's where it is very dangerous. What I understand is, if you look at any program, whether it is permanent residency, whether it is a work permit, make sure you are qualified, make sure you are able to, and you are eligible to apply, and you go through the legal means. Because what I have seen, the horror story is, there are agencies in your home country who might promise you that they will connect you to the employer.
Mm.
Now, what happens is, they fix an amount which is wrong. Just for your knowledge, the entire work permit process, you are not supposed to pay anybody, especially the employer. Employer cannot charge you for giving you the job. If somebody is telling you or saying that I will give you a job, you need to pay this amount. That's where you need to stop. That's where you need to stop yourself and say this is not possible. That's where the scam happens. So my advice to everyone who is aspiring for work permit: do your homework, Google the nature of the company, the type of work they are doing, who is offering you a job. I have had clients who, not clients, but somebody whom I knew, and they sent me a work permit copy, they sent me a job contract, and it was very easy to make out it was fake, because
Mm.
it has spelling errors, it has grammatical errors. And when you Google the address, it's not a physical address. So therefore, everybody who is looking out for this kind of opportunities, it is possible, but it is very difficult, because an employer has to go through various stages. It is, once again, it is possible. I'm not saying it is impossible, but it has to be done through legal source, legal way of doing it, not by paying somebody or by looking at shortcuts. And one last thing I would advise, and then we'll move on to the next question, is that try and understand, somebody is offering you a work permit, or trying to lure you towards a work permit by saying, pay me 500,000 rupee, or let's say 10,000 Indian, $10,000 or $15,000. Why would somebody offer? How can somebody offer a job, right? If an international student is spending 20,000 a year to achieve the same target of, a student permit has to comply with the journey of study permit, then he goes on to the work permit, and then he becomes a PR. That's the pathway international students take. And it's a very
Mm.
expensive journey, it is a lengthy journey, but they know it is worth it. They are ready to take the long route rather than shortcuts. So my advice to you is, nothing is that easy. So be aware, and I'm pretty sure people who are looking for work permit are intelligent enough to decide between good and bad and what is right or wrong.
Absolutely, absolutely, and completely agree with what you said, Z. In terms of, if something seems too good to be true,
Yeah.
you really have to, you really had to check. And folks, don't get emotional, because you might be in an emotional state. You want to leave your
See?
country and move here. You get excited. You're thinking emotionally, and then someone can approach you who's a scam artist, right? And they take advantage of that. So be logical, and do your research, and verify everything, just like Z said. So appreciate that, Z. Now, Z, in terms of the study visa, like, the study visa can be a way for recent graduates, with a few years of experience and whatnot. Like, what can you tell us about the study visa?
See, study permit has one of the routes that can lead to permanent residency, which everybody, of course, want to get when you are an aspirant. Now, the thing is, uh, what happens is, study permit, there are pros and cons versus PR. Study permit
Mm.
number one is one of the ways to get through the other side of the coin. Like, if you start the process of study permit right now, So the steps involved is getting an admission in the reputed DLI institute, okay, registered, and you can check from the website which institutes are DLI, designated learning institute. It has to be eligible college which will give you postgraduate open work permit. So this is very important. Once you
Mhm.
get that admission, you pay your fee, you show your financial strength, and you have to show your language ability that you will be able to comply and complete the program successfully, which is English, of course. And once you comply with the requirement, you apply. And there have been 6 countries which has given a priority called a student direct stream, where the study permit is processed within 20 days.
Mhm.
Now that was of course before COVID, where people were working at a full strength. Now, right now it has been exception where there has been delay, few things are stopped working. But this is in general how it works. This is how it should be. So once you apply, 20 days your outcome is there. If you are approved, you come to Canada. It is very quick, 3 to 4 months process. This is the positive side of study permit. Now the negative side is it is financially expensive, because you have
Mhm.
to bear the expense of studying in Canada for 2 years. Why I'm saying 2 years? Because if you study 1 year in Canada, you will get 1 year of work permit. If you study 2 years of in Canada, you get maximum up to 3 years of work permit. So
Right.
you as an aspirant who wants to use the pathway to become a PR, you want maximum time to stay in Canada. So you are given extra points when you apply for PR. So that is why study permit is a route for somebody who is, let's say, graduate, 3 4 years of experience and not able to get through the express entry pool, because right now express entry pool the draws are around 470, the score that they are looking for. And if what I have seen is maximum, it's a general statement, but people outside Canada will be in the range of 390, 420, 430. Of course exceptions are there. There are people who have got PR, so they are in the range of 460 and 70, but majority of the people would be in that range because of the various factors, right? Language, age, experience, qualification. So if you feel that PR is not the route for you, I would say then you should start thinking about study permit versus
Mhm.
somebody who's a recent graduate with 1 year of experience, 2 years of experience, financially well to do, and he is okay with either PR or study permit. Then it is his choice or his or her choice what to do.
Okay, got it, got it. Great advice
Yeah.
there. Hope that helps the viewers as well. Moving on, Z. Now, in regards to this unfortunate situation with COVID, right? I mean, is COVID, and I've heard from many people who have been trying to immigrate over here, who have been affected by this whole situation here, right? People who want to come here. So, can you explain like any of the important changes you had mentioned in the immigration program due to COVID-19, and how IRCC is combating the COVID-19?
The COVID-19 is one of the unfortunate things that happened to this world and
Yeah.
every individual in this on this planet. I would say every industry is affected. Very few is affected positively, but most of them are affected negatively.
Mm.
uh, and there have been countries which are worstly affected, like India is one of them, America is one of them, and there have been phases like Canada has done a good job because of good government support and initiatives taken by government. So Canada has done a very fantastic job, and kudos to the government and each and every health agencies, the provincial government who has taken this step to make sure that COVID doesn't get into the mind of people, because if
Mm.
it gets into the mind, then frustration leads to wrong things, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
uh, the way I look at it is Canadian immigration has been the most flexible immigration system across the globe, I would say. Why I'm saying this is because in the last few months we have seen series of changes that facilitates the aspirants. They are not stopping anything, but there has been delays. They're not saying that you cannot apply for PR, but what it means that right now, because they are not working at full capacity, what is happening is everything that was done within 6 months will now take 9 months, 10 months, or maybe more. We don't know. So that is one of the things COVID has done. Second best thing that the government is saying is that once they overcome the situation of COVID, they will need immigrants to to take the opportunity that the economy has to offer. So as an aspirant, you should not be disappointed. This is the time when you can sit at home because you are given an opportunity to sit and work from home. Do your IELTS properly. Get your
Mm,
focus on the IELTS, because this is very important. I have seen clients who are stuck at the IELTS juncture because of family responsibility, work responsibility. So this is the opportunity where you can focus extra and get your IELTS score high. That is the only
yeah.
way you can do. And if you notice, I have been stressing a lot on IELTS because that's the only thing you can change now. You cannot change your age, you cannot change your qualification, you cannot change your work experience. So what else do you can change? It is the only language exam. And therefore
Mm,
government has been focusing on, language exam as well as one of the important criteria. So COVID is an opportunity as well for many people who want to come to Canada. I'll share you one example that happened a day before. Our Canadian immigration minister, what he did, I know it has been a teamwork, but he came out with a very good option, because from last 2.5 months, none of the study permits were approved because biometric centers are closed in all the countries. Medicals cannot be done because of the COVID. So what they started doing is they announced a changes in the study permit program. People who want to come to, who had planned to come to Canada to study, can now study from their back home in India or anywhere in the
oh
world,
wow.
and that study will be counted as if you're studying in Canada.
Wow, that's amazing.
Absolutely, and that will be counted towards the postgraduate open work permit when you apply later on. Because before, what was happening is your online education was not accounted for. You cannot count it towards your postgraduate work permit. Right now, because of these changes, you can stay where you are because you cannot come due to travel ban, but you should continue your dream to come to Canada. You should not
Mm,
postpone. And that's the initiative they have taken. Now the other best part what they did was, before, what was happening is, once you apply for study permit, you need to complete your biometric done. Once you do
mm,
that and the medical's done, then only the officer is going to assess your file.
right.
Now, a day before yesterday, what they came up with a very good welcoming sign, and that's I keep appreciating the Canadian immigration officer, and the ministers and the government as a whole, because they are the one who backs such decisions. What they did was they said that if you are a student and you're not able to do biometric, you're not able to do medicals in your home country, not to worry. If you comply with the other requirement, you will be given approval in principle. That's the
Mm,
terminology that they are using. You can always check it on the website, it's there. And I think, Dean, we can always share it with the audience if they are
yeah,
looking
absolutely.
forward. So what happens is, if you get your approval in principle, then you are allowed to start studying in Canada, in back home, but that will be counted towards study in Canada. Now the audience will have another question in that case. Let's say my approval in principle is positive and I start studying. Now the next question the audience will have is, when can I come to Canada, because that's what I want to do.
Yeah.
So just a heads up, until the international travel ban is lifted, you cannot travel to Canada, and that's why government has made these changes. So traveling to
Mm,
Canada is, I would say, 2 3 months away at least, if the COVID is controlled the way it is done right now. So that is number one. You cannot come to travel to Canada unless as a student. As a student. Now, the other thing is very important for you and your student, college advisor, or anybody who you are working with on the course, is that you cannot study more than 50% in your home country online. This is very important for the student.
mm,
For example, if you have taken 2 semester course, that is 1 year course. So you being a home country, you can only complete 1 semester course, and your college will come out with the option, if COVID situation doesn't improve or if the travel ban is not lifted, or in
right.
that case, government will again come and give you some other option, because that's how Canadian government has been immigration system. They are very flexible, there is immigrant friendly, and they are welcoming. That's what I like about this whole episode of COVID, which is stressful, which is frustrating, but you are happy when the government is besides you.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
and,
100%.
And Canadian government has raised the benchmark in terms of supporting the general public at large, including the international students, including the work permit holders during this time of crisis. They are supporting you financially, they are supporting you as a business owners. It's very rare to get this kind of combination for anybody, and that's why I chose to come to Canada 10 years before, and I
Mhm.
don't regret it. And I would say that anybody who's listening, it's a very big step of your life. It's not an easy one, but you will never regret in your life, because when you think of leaving one country, you have to understand that you are tired of anything and everything in that country, and that's why you're thinking about somebody else, other countries. And Canada by now has raised the bars and expectations, and it is number one from last many years, and it will be number one for coming many years.
Great, 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 Z. So you have kind of already answered my next question, but if you have anything to add to that, what are and you've said some great things about Canada, and I really definitely agree with you on that. But other anything else you want to add, Z, in terms of why should someone, like, for the viewers watching who are maybe on the fence, they're considering, okay, should I stay where I am? Should I actually move to Canada? So Z, why should someone come or plan to settle in Canada, aside from what you have already mentioned, of course? If there's anything you want to add.
You know what? This was the question that I and my wife or my family had when we started our journey of looking towards Canada in 2009, I believe, mid of 2009. The
Mhm.
question that you as an individual should ask is, are you satisfied with the current situation? I'm not saying COVID. Current situation means forget COVID. If there was no COVID, are you satisfied in terms of your monetary aspect, in terms of your lifestyle, in terms of your future? Are you confident that you and your kids in future will have a better life in your home country? If the answer is yes, then you don't have to think about any country, because then you are confident about what you think, because your
Mhm.
judgment cannot go wrong. You have been living in that country for 20 years, 22 years, 25 years, and now there is a conclusion that is either yes or no. It has to be right, it cannot go wrong. In my case, it was a quality of life that was bothering me. Monetarily,
Mhm.
with God's grace, I was doing well as a lecturer professor in a college, and everybody knows in India education has more opportunity to make money and also impart education. So it was a fulfilling job for me. So that way, monetary aspect is fine, but what about quality of life? So if that is one of the aspect for you and your family, go ahead with this Canadian dream. But I will warn you, any steps that you take, whether it is permanent residency, whether it is work permit, whether it is study permit, plan it well ahead of it in advance. Don't be under any false impression. Nothing is easy. When I say Canada is best or Canada is best for me and many people like me, I don't mean that when you land on the airport you are given a red carpet welcome. There are jobs waving that welcome Zeenatali.
Yeah,
This
yeah.
is the job for you. We were waiting for you. Why you are not coming? But what I mean to say is, if after struggling for 2 3 years I can get what I want, then why not? Because
Mhm.
this is what I was not able to get in last 12 years in India after my completion of my formal education. So how long I have to wait to get what I want? And that's where these decisions are very, very crucial for you, for your future family, and anybody who is, whom you care for.
Right. Okay. Excellent. Excellent, Z. And yeah, I totally agree. I mean, set realistic expectations, everyone. Right. That's
Absolutely,
very
yes.
important. So Z, I mean, before we get into, and I'm going to get into some of the viewers' questions. At this time, we have some great feedback here from Gurpreet. Nice seeing you here, Gurpreet. Gurpreet says great advice. For the viewers who want to know more about how you can help them with with your services, Z, can you give more information about that?
Yeah, so we have our website, which is www.zoverseas.com. All right. And you can always book a consultation. It's a charge consultation. In some cases, if you have some turbulence or anything, you can always reach me out through email, info@zoverseas.com, and we'll be happy to take care of any such questions, or any way we can help you professionally, of course. But I think you can always reach us anytime via our website. Yes.
Is that correct? I put it on the screen there.
Yeah,
Is that the
it is
correct?
perfect. Yeah, it is correct.
Oh, okay, perfect. Yeah, so feel free to reach out to Z, folks. For those of you who might have any, specific, very, very specific questions and all of that. We have some more comments here. So Gurpreet says, so many people think that they will go to Canada and their life will just be magically better. Yeah, exactly, Gurpreet. So just like what Gurpreet's saying, as Z is saying, have realistic expectations. You're not going to get the red carpet in front of you right away. So just keep that in mind. But it is a great country for sure. And Arvind says honest and realistic advice from Z. Absolutely. Thanks for your feedback there, Arvind. So Z, I mean, in terms of what is the? I know you provided your email address. Are you also active on like social media? Like, can the viewers follow you for content as well? Or
Yes, so we are working on the updates right now. So
okay.
we have our Facebook page under the name of Z Overseas Immigration and Study Abroad Services. Um, so we'll share that if you can share later on, or we can post the link as well. So you can find me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter as well. Yes,
Okay, awesome, fantastic. So, folks, I do have time for a few questions, so I'm going to go through the comments right now. If I miss your question, don't take it personal. Just feel free to. I think maybe Z, if you have some time, maybe afterwards you can go through the comments. And anyone
yes,
who wants to
and
connect with Z, yeah,
yeah, and sorry, before we go into the questions and answers, if you and the audience feels that we need to have specific program on, let's say, permanent residency, specifically only on that, or any other program under Canadian immigration that I can help you with, I'm open for that. So you can take the public opinion on that, and we can always plan similar program. But in that case, what we will do is we will focus on one area of immigration, so and people can get more clarity on how the process works, and we can always, I'm welcome for that.
sure. Okay, sounds good. Yeah. So, for those of you who are the viewers, I mean, feel free to put in the comments like what areas, and maybe I can schedule a future another session with Z.
Yeah.
So let me know in the comments, PR, work permit, or study visa. Let me know in the comments. So let's get around to the comments. And I think at your end as well, Z, you can pick out comments as well. So
Yes.
feel free to do that. But I will see. So we have a question from Rashmi. Rashmi says how to calculate points for PR. I think that might be a very broad question, I guess, right?
Yes, but like I said, there are two ways of checking that. So first important step is to get yourself experience for 1 year. This is the minimum criteria. So you has to have a high school diploma. That's number one. Your language benchmark has to be IELTS 6, which is CLB 7, and then you have to check whether you qualify under that 67 out of 100 score. So the way you can check it out on the government website is you can just check or Google six selection factors and make sure it is Canada.ca website. There they have bifurcated and given you all the options about what can be like, how you can calculate yourself.
Awesome, fantastic. So hope that helps, Rashmi. Thanks for your question. We have another question here, Z, and Arzu is asking, do things turn out different for me if I have 40% visual disability?
I would say immigration wise, I have, in my experience, again, I will have to do a research on it, but
Okay.
visual disability, I don't think so comes under consideration. Yes.
Okay. Thanks,
Yeah.
Z. And we have a question here from Alina. So Alina asks, can we leave the country after submitting a complete permanent residency application while we are still waiting for a decision?
So I would like to understand, can we leave the country after submitting a complete permanent residency while we are waiting for it? So I understand this viewer should be in Canada, and
Yeah.
because usually there are two ways of applying PR. One, you are on a work permit in Canada, and then you apply for PR, and then you want to go back to your home country. That's why that's what I understand from this question. The answer is yes, but consider the COVID situation right now in Canada and outside, wherever
Got
you
you.
want to
Got you.
go. Yeah.
Okay, understood. Understood. So I'm just looking for more questions here. So let's see here. So Ashish asks, after getting student visa for postgraduate program, is it okay to apply for express entry pool or PNP while still being in home country?
So like I said, a student has to study like you cannot study more than 50% being your home country, right? So
Mm.
what it means that you will have to come to Canada or wait for the another update that might come up if things doesn't go well. So what it means that you can always apply for PR and PNP together if you qualify under the criteria. So what it means, the international student who is studying in Canada or studying from India for Canada, but if you're eligible for PR, you can always do that parallel. You don't have to wait to complete your studies in Canada or complete your certification or whatever you're doing. So just judge if I have understood correctly, Ashish. If you are currently planning to study in back home country because of the COVID situation and you're not able to travel, you cannot study more than 50% of your course. So so leaving aside, if you are eligible for PR based on what we spoke, and you can always do the research afterwards, you can always apply for PR parallel. You don't have to wait for your completion of education.
Okay, fantastic,
Yeah.
fantastic. And let's see here. I'll just see what other questions we have here.
I I want to address question by Karthik
Karthik. Okay, let
Nadi.
me put that on the
Yeah,
screen. Yeah.
yeah.
So
So this
Karthik
is a
says, yeah.
yeah. So this is one of the challenges we always come across. I would say if you have completed high school and then you come to Canada, you should be prepared to move around. You should be prepared to move around the provinces where there are favorable, provincial nomination program. I would always advise that if you are a grade 12 students, that I always give this suggestion to somebody who's contacting me as well, that try and leave Toronto. Try and live, away from Toronto, or the area where there's more hustle. British
Mhm.
Columbia, Alberta. People want to go to these places. If you are low on qualification and you want to plan for PR, why don't you go to the Atlantic province? Government has made some beautiful changes in this AIPP in last few years. Take the advantage. You get points for studying in Atlantic province. You are given a freedom to select any kind of job after studies, unlike big provinces like Ontario and BC, where the rules are very strict. So I think you as a student, if you are starting your journey, once you have completed your study, you apply for your open work permit. Once you get it approved, move around. Look for the options where you can get quick and favorable provincial nomination program. That's what we can always advise.
Okay, fantastic. Hope that helps, Karthik, and great to see you here. Thanks for tuning in, and thanks so much,
Yeah.
Z. So, folks, that is all the time I have for questions. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. If we missed your question, apologies for that. But maybe Z, if you have some time, maybe afterwards you can go through the comments and
Yes.
just connect with whoever's questions we did not respond to, and see if you can help out. And look, I hope this session was helpful for everyone who tuned in, and shout out to everyone on Facebook tuning in as well as here on LinkedIn. Hope this session was informative, and definitely hope to bring you back again here, Z, for maybe some future sessions where we can discuss more specific topics. And folks, let us know the feedback in the comments, and make sure you thank Z. He took time out of his busy schedule to join us here and explain this whole system to us. I found
I
it
would
very
say,
enlightening.
I would say you're trying to be too humble, but it was your opportunity and you gave me the opportunity. So I am thankful to you and the audience, because this is the time where you can contribute the way you can. We cannot reach out the people any other way. We are sharing our time and knowledge. That's what we can do the best.
Awesome, fantastic, fantastic. So, folks, make sure you connect with Z if you want to learn more about how he can further help you. And again, hope this information was helpful. Let us know the feedback in the comments. Let us know you got a lot of great information out of this. Z, thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate
My
it.
pleasure.
Definitely would love to have you back and in the future to address this topic. And thanks so much, everyone. And again, have a fantastic day. And thanks so much for tuning in. Thank you, and
Thank you,
thanks a
guys.
lot, Z.
Thank you. Thank you all. Take care.
You're welcome.
Have safe.